Hello. There you go. Hello, my name is Andres, and we'll be doing an incision with the sheep brain. Again, I don't have any equipment um, to hold a camera, and there's no one here at this house to help me hold the camera. As always, so I'll be doing my best. I'm trying to make this as professional as possible, and basically identify these parts for this video. Now, okay, so so we have our sheet. So we'll be identifying. I believe there's 25 in total, so we're gonna be identifying the 25. We're gonna be starting off with basically talking about the outside of it, like pointing out on what frontal and temporal, etc. We're gonna be talking about that, and um, we're gonna have our sheet next to it for that reason. We're gonna have our tools. I can get it right here. We have our toolkit, and then we have our delicious and yucky brain from our sheep brain. Anyways, so we're gonna be going ahead and get started. So yeah. All right. So we have our brain. Ooh, sorry. I don't have a table to work on this. So we have a brain. Here we go. All slimy, squishy. I gotta say, it is pretty cool. We got our scalpel, scissors. I'm going to be using this right here to go ahead and try to do my best to zoom in as possible and just see if I can point out and identify things. Rather than using a pen, we're going to be using this. So hopefully that works out. And again, next to us we have our sheet. So we're going to be going ahead and talking about the frontal lobe and etc. We're going to go down the list going this way and then down over here. So we're going to start right here. We have extra tools here just in case if we need anything else. And here's the scalpel, the brain, and then we should be getting started right about now. And again, this if I can focus, this is me. So as proof, I am the one doing this. As you can see, so we're gonna go ahead and identify these as quick as possible. We're gonna go ahead and start off with the front, the outside part of it, and then we'll move on to the inside. All right, so for a fun fact, for this one, for this being a sheep brain, if I can carefully put it over here, as we can see, this is like basically the spinal cord of it. And fun fact about this is that for a human brain, this would be, if I can, this would be going downward, but because it is a sheep, it's straight going that way. So just for a little bonus there. But and also I want to go ahead and mention I'm going to add a marker, a little Sharpie, to mark down as we go. That way we're not repeating the same thing in case we end up missing something. We're going to go down the list as we can, but making sure we get everything down correctly. So we're going to start off with the frontal lobe and then down. So for the frontal lobe, we want to go ahead and show you guys, or show you that it's right here at the front. It's the front part, frontal, front. Pretty simple. The parietal lobe. I apologize if I mispronounce some words, but it would be excuse me. It would be back on the top part of the brain up here. Then we're talking about the occipital, which is actually back here. And another thing is that back here doesn't the occipital lobe is basically where it's gonna help you see with your vision and light. So so now we have the temporal, which is basically just down here, like on the sides. Like think of it like the little temple of your head on the side. So we're like each side of these, so right there. So yeah. Also looking at this, we can also see already the, oh, please focus, thank you, the gyrus and sulcus. So the gyrus will be like, if I can see if I can zoom in a little closer, ignoring the shadows. zoom in, please. Once it focuses, I'll be able to show you a little bit better. There we go. So I believe the gyrus should be would be like this right here. The top part of the brain right there, and then the sulcus will be next to the gyrus, part of this outside part. Also, the longitudinal fissure is basically the division. So if you look at the top view of it, if I can point this right, basically the division, basically that line right there in the middle is what that is for the longitudinal fissure. Now, talking about the cerebrum, as we can see here, as we go down the list, going down, now we got the cerebrum. Now the cerebrum, basically right in front of you. Just looking at all this, the brain going to frontal, the partial, the temporal, the occipital. This is basically the cerebrum. Also, with the central sulcus, just the name of it is basically just like right there, like basically this incision, or not the incision, but this little crack. If I can move it up here. Basically, this right here is what the central sulcus is. And then we're looking at if we look at the lateral sulcus, it's basically like falling down the line, basically just right on the side of it, where that line is, like that little circle, well, not circle, but like a little oval type shape, like it's trying to make a big wide of a U. That's basically what that is. And then we're gonna be moving on with the optic 2 nerve. So, excuse me. So with the optic nerve, here's my little thing, is going to be a little bit over here, where it's gonna connect. Because again, with our eyes, imagine if we had 2 little balls right here, it's gonna connect to the brain, and it's gonna connect all the way back to where the occipital lobe. So basically, it's going to be inside of this. So we're gonna see if we can go ahead and make the incision. That way we can go ahead and identify a few things, and if it ends up leading to to show up some things on the outside, we can still do that. Because again, we're gonna try to split this in half and look from the inside of it. So I'm gonna go ahead, make the incision, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now that we have our incision, as you can see, that worked out pretty well. See that we basically try to split it in half, making sure you do this carefully. Please trying to see if I can put this back into the way it was in the viewpoint. Alright. Where's my little friendly helper? Here it is. Alright, so again, now that I kind of moved it in place, we're going to put it back in how it was. Again, let's see if I can fix this a little quick. Alright, so again, it'll be right over here. Again, the optic is still back here, because you get a little spinal cord. So it'll be going right here. Now the optic tract will be right there. As you can see, kind of poking at it. As you can see right there, it's gonna be where the optic is gonna be. Trying to see if I can get this a little bit more flat. There we go. That looks a lot better. So basically right there will be the optic tract, helping it reach to get back here. Now the trochlear forenerve, it would be basically around this part of the area, a little bit back. It's like a little see, here it is, like basically going right there. Oh, in this part of the area, and then which again also being basically a lot closer to where the optic could be, which is up here. But the tracheal forenerve is around, it should be around the part of this middle of it. It's a lot harder to identify. Look at how flat it looks, but as close as I can get, with the issue with the shadow, it's around this part of the area. All right, so now we're gonna be talking about the cerebellum, which again we're going down the list. Where's my? All right, down the list. Now we're going to this other half, starting up here at the cerebellum. Basically, these are the cerebellum. This is the inside of it, but if we had a look at the side view, there we go. Again, it'll be back here. Basically, it'll be in the back with the occipital lobe. So that would be that part. For the corpus callosum, it's going to be basically on the side. So we're talking about, if I can flip this way, it's going to be basically on the side. So right over here. Whoops. Right on the side. So if you had to look at it from the outside, it will be in like going from the temporal lobe of it. All right. So our next part from our list, going down, thalamus. Okay, so our thalamus would be again in the middle, right here. It's like a ball of it. Let's see if I can get a good angle of it. It's right there in the middle of it. That will be the thalamus. And then we're talking about the the pineal gland. And the pineal gland would be basically that little spinal cord, that little gland going right through that. Again, I don't want to move it too much on the side because I'm afraid it's going to break because of how wiggly and weak it is. But it's right there, basically, where that little gland is, where that just shoots out. So that would be for that part of it. And then looking back at it, going down to the hypothalamus, and I will be marking them down in a couple of seconds. But for the hypothalamus, it would be right in this part of the area. Let me get a good shot of it. Right in this part of the area, that's where you're gonna be finding the hypothalamus. I'm sorry, a little bit over here because it's close to where I want to reach to this little spinal cord. But it'll be around this part of the area. All right, so now moving on. Now that I did my little quick check marks as quickly as possible, but now we're going with the fornix. Our fornix is going to be right in the middle of it. A lot of things happens in the middle, and it's kind of hard to identify with the color and just the way it looks from this. But basically, the fornix is basically around this area. Again, on the temporal side. So talking about these two sides of it, basically, like a little round area going here. So that will be for that part. Now for the midbrain is basically, if I could get a marker and just draw it out, but it's like the way I'm going to see if I can trace it with this little tool here. Is midbrain has the word mid, is basically right in the middle of it. This is basically the mid part of it. Then we get the pons. The pons is actually right here. If I can point it, it's gonna be right over here. It's a little hard to identify, but it's basically, again, near the temporal side. It's gonna be in the bottom part of it, though. Rather than be up high or in the middle, it's gonna be in the bottom part. That's where the pon is, and I did not mean to stab that. So again, it will be more going lower, near the lower part of it. All right, so now moving on, we're gonna be talking about the medulla oblongata. But it's going to be basically this little spinal thing. I'm gonna see if I can try to close it up because I feel like we're getting to the point to where it's gonna show a little. Oh, that's a little squishy. Ooh, okay. There we go. Okay, this would have been a lot easier. But this will be the bottom part. Basically, this going down. This is basically the part of the medulla oblongata, and then for the olfactory bulb. Now that is going to be way over here. Over here, basically at the very front where our eyes are going to be. So we again had to open this. Oops, let me flip it around again. So if you had to flip it again, it'll be right in front of it, like right near our eyes are gonna be sticking out. It's gonna be right there where the olfactory bulb would be. All right, and to wrap things up, with the olfactory bulb, now we have that figured out. Now we're gonna be going to the olfactory tract, which is actually right behind the bulb. So, if we had to look at from the top part of the brain, if I can put it back together somewhat. Once we identify where the olfactory bulb is right behind the tract. That's where it's going to be. We're talking about right behind it. So imagine this right here and then right behind it. So if you had to look from the inside, if it will be right in the bottom of it where our eyes is gonna be sticking out. It's basically where the optic bulb is, and behind that bulb is the tract. Now going with that will be the oculus motor 3 nerve. That is going to be leading up to a little bit to the back. Again, it's going to be leading. I can open it again. Whoops. Okay, right. It'll be right behind it, going towards and right in the middle of it. So yeah. So that would be for that part. So now that we identify the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and the excuse me, temporal lobe, and moving on, as we can see, that we have all this part listed down the list, all the way to the olfactory tract, ocular motor 3 nerves. But some of these parts, it's very interesting. As we can see, the brain is really an interesting thing, and I learned that your brain doesn't fully develop at age 25, and it's a fun fact to know about that. And it's just how our brain managed to learn like tasting and vision, seeing and feeling things, and just how our brain works, think. And it's very interesting. And because this is just a sheep brain, it's a little weird to do. It's my first time doing something like this, and it's just very interesting how this is. It's just fascinating, and it's just amazing what, like, it's just electricity of nerves just going around this thing, just everything that goes in that brain that controls your body. And it's just crazy how back here is what causes you to do with your vision, and it's just basically the little spinal cord of it. But because it's a sheep, it's going straight out, and for a human one, it would have been like sticking down, which is very interesting for this. But I hope that you got something out of it. If I didn't want to make any further incision, thinking that I might break something, I might break a part of something. I'm not really sure, but I feel like just splitting it in half and trying to point out what I can as much as possible and zoom in as much as possible was enough. But you see, just the lines and just the shape of it. So hopefully, I was able to point out the location where things can be, and where the things are, and hopefully it was a good video for you to to see it. But again, we went over 25, I believe it is the total. So it was a really fun incision, I will say. I will be messing with it a little bit more on my free time, but again, it's very interesting. I apologize if I didn't make any more incisions, but I figure splitting just half of it, get a 50-50 view of it, and just split it open like an apple or something will be enough for us to see what we need to identify. So hopefully this was helpful, and it was just a really fun project to be working. So hopefully the video was very useful. Again, I used this to point. Oh man, I'm going to be doing a lot of cleaning, but it was very interesting to work on this little brain, and hopefully I was able to identify as much as I could. The lighting is terrible, I apologize that. Camera angle, I did my best as I could, but hopefully I got the message and like the location of it, and hopefully it was a good effort to do this. I gotta say, it's very interesting to work on something like this, and I actually had fun making the incision. It felt really gross, but It was very interesting, especially being I never knew this would be like the size of, like a sheep brain. It's very interesting. I can just imagine like messing with a real human brain. I feel like that's even more fascinating. Um, but yes, hopefully this video was good, and hopefully that you enjoyed it and was able to see what I was trying to identify and point at. So thank you, and um, hope to do well.